Borough Crafton regular meeting dated Monday, September 18th, 2015. Flag salute by Mr. Amendola, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amendola.
Here.
Ms. Amendola is absent. Mr. Crown is absent. Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Mr. Phillips.
Here.
Ms. Whitefield is absent. Mr. Hayes.
Here.
Mayor Bloom.
Here.
Solicitor Dolphy.
Here.
Manager Scott. Here. Director Kazarovski.
Here. Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the bill list dated September 28th, 2015.
So moved.
Second. Having been moved and seconded, any discussion on the bill list? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes for the meeting September 14th, 2015.
So moved.
Second. Having been moved and seconded, any discussion on the minutes? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I have to abstain, I wasn't here for that meeting.
One absent. Motion carries. I have a list of the citizen comments. It looks to me like all the comments are on topics that's not on the public agenda. Is that correct for the folks that have signed up? All right, so we asked to have those comments at the end of the meeting, and we'll have no citizens' comments unless anyone wants to talk about the public agenda now. All right, so we'll move into the public agenda. We have a quick meeting tonight. There's only one motion, I think, but there are some discussion, so we'll get through it as quickly as we can, and then we'll get to the comments in the end. I'm going to acknowledge. Oh, yeah, right. We had an executive session before this meeting to discuss personnel matters and contract issues. No action was taken. I'll acknowledge receipt of the following written reports for August 2015: the Treasurer's Report, the Financial Report, Act 511 and Trash Collection Report, the Property Tax Collection Report, the Police Report, EMS Report, Ordinance Officer's Report, Building Inspection Report, and Public Works Report. We're going to talk, we go into depth with all the other reports that we're going to accept, except for Public Works. Is there anything you'd like to highlight, Rob, before we move on to those reports?
We're getting ready for leaf season, doing a lot of maintenance on the current leaf fats, preparing those and getting ready for the next 2 months, next 3 months.
Okay, all right. So let's go straight into the mayor's report then.
I want to, we have listed on here the traffic studies for Fontaine Street and the Sterrett Street. And just to abbreviate what went on, we've watched the traffic up there from August 25th through September 18th. The average speed in a 25-mile-an-hour zone was 15 miles an hour. As I stated before, the state law requires for a speeding ticket is 11, so that would be 34, but the average was 15, and there was anywhere between 400 to 600 cars a day transverse. This we're talking Sterrett Street. They crossed over between Clearview Avenue and, let's say, Hall Avenue, which is the borough line. The average speed 15 miles an hour. There were a few cars that exceeded the speed limit, but nothing anywhere near the amount of cars that were initially reported to us that were speeding in the area. So I thank Mr. Kazarovski for getting that information out of the radar signs that we have in place. And also, Fontaine Street was also done back in June, and I did report on that, I think at the July meeting or August meeting, what the outcome of that is. So we're still going to monitor the speed, and if anybody has any specific questions that they, or reports, you know, get a hold of the borough office or the chief of police, and then we'll get somebody up there. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks. All right, we'll go to the engineer's report. You want to cover your items in order, or however you want to?
You want me to just cover the ones on here, or the entire, just these, right?
Let's cover those first, and if you want to go in depth on anything else not on here, feel free.
Okay. All right, the swimming pool renovations, they started the week of September 14th, and as of right now, they're still on schedule to finish on time. Of course, it's early, but that's where we are right now. I think you guys already know the costs and all that kind of stuff, so I won't go into that. 2015 road program, they are complete, and currently just working with the contractor on any punch list items and the pay applications. So, Clearview Avenue as well is completed, working on the pay application for that as well. Lincoln demolition, we are all ready to bid. We were waiting on Char West approval to bid that contract, hoping to get it any day, because obviously we're running into winter, kind of like we did last year with Union, and we'd like to get that out for winter. And we may be in the same boat as we were last year, finishing restoration in the spring, unfortunately, but that's just how the contracts are working right now with the CDBG money. O&M plan, so our excavation contractor is complete. We have, we finished the contract, we're recommending final payment. We do have a 2-year maintenance bond, so we will monitor any of the restoration items that are, that they took care of, to make sure, and the contractors, the one we have a good track record with them, they'll come out and take care of anything. So Rob, or if any of you guys see something that's not right, let us know, and they'll come out and take care of it. The lining contract, we're kind of in the middle of it. The manhole liners are about halfway done. Spot liners, they have not been out yet. We're trying to get a schedule on that, but I'll keep you posted on how they're coming along. And then CCTV and preventive maintenance contracts are complete. Since this report, actually, the preventive maintenance contractor is complete. We're waiting on the data to review. And then this last one, F, Alcosan had requested, they sent us a letter, sent you a letter asking if there's any other lines, sewer lines in the borough that you would recommend transferring to Alcosan. As you know, Alcosan's taken over some of the larger diameter multi-municipal sewers, or at least that's the plan right now. We're still waiting for that to happen. But in doing that, we did recommend one that runs, it runs from Harrison down to Broadhead, crosses Crafton, and hits that Alcosan line down by the creek. It ranges from 24 to 60 inch. It's just one of those lines that, generally the larger the lines, the more expensive the maintenance is on it. Not to mention the restoration, it's along the street, especially along Broadhead. So we recommended that one as a line to have them take over. We haven't heard from them. In fact, we just sent it in, probably it was about a week or two ago. It's 3,700 feet with 29 structures included in it. So we'll wait to see what they have to say about that. From what we're hearing is they probably won't agree to it immediately, but they're kind of logging all this stuff. And I think then they're going to make a decision once they get everything in. So we'll keep you posted on that.
So one question, right? So we keep saying that 2015 road program's done, with the exception of some punch list items. That's a subtlety because, Noble Avenue is not technically us doing it, it's the water company doing
Right.
it. It was gonna be our road to do, but now that it's their road to do, right, we're calling 2015 done. But I thought we said at the last meeting that that was gonna get done in the last 2 weeks, and it doesn't look like anything's changed. So what's the status on that?
Yeah, I just actually just talked to the contractor late last week, and he is shooting for early October, which could be next week. My gut is it might be 2 weeks out. He mentioned something about having a couple PennDOT projects he had to finish up, and then he'd be in to do the work.
Okay.
So,
When is the over and under before it wouldn't even get done this year?
it depends. November 1st is like it's kind of a date that, the PennDOT throws out there, but if the weather's good enough, you can still do it after that. Generally, the temperature needs to be 40 degrees and rising for them to lay asphalt down.
Okay.
So, we've seen asphalt go down in December. It depends on the plants will be open as long as there's demand. So, We'll definitely, I believe we'll get it in the next couple of weeks.
All right. Yeah, I don't think anybody would like to see that wait until the spring.
Oh, no,
right?
it won't. It won't wait till next, it won't wait till the spring. That's
All right.
okay.
Okay, did you have anything else?
That's all I have right now.
I have a question. What's the benefit for Alcoasand to take over a particular section of sewer line? What is it, how does it benefit them?
How does it benefit them?
Yeah.
Well, a couple things. They will get some of the customers that are on the line. There's not a lot of them on there, but they will get those customers on the line. And then the other thing is they will, I guess it gives them a little bit more control, I guess, of the sewer system, to where they can come in there and, you know, if they feel like there's a lot of I&I, now you guys are in a combined system, so it's a little different. But it gives them more freedom to update and upgrade these sewers as they see fit, so. And to be honest with you, it's kind of something that's being passed down from the regulators above, that this needs to happen. So I think they're being pressured.
You have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess this is to Rob and the engineer. A year and a half to 2 years ago, there's a sewer line that runs between Crafton Boulevard, perpendicular to Crafton Boulevard between Johnston and North Emily. It ends, or they thought it ended somewhere near the vicinity of 21 Johnston Street. The borough went in and dug this hole in this property, this huge hole, and I can't say what happened with the sewer line. There was something that was going on, and Gateway Engineers was aware of what's going on. They left the hole open for a while, and the complaint came in about rods and holes, and the borough went in and filled it in, okay, just covered up the product, and threw some dirt on it and threw grass seed on it. That area was hurt, it was like an open lot, and it was all gravel, okay, back to almost to the property line. Now it's all mud, all grass. And she called me about, you know, what is the borough gonna do? It's been 2 years now since they dug this up. They never did anything other than dig the hole and ruin, took out all the gravel that she had poured down there for a lot so they could park in her house. So I was wondering if maybe between now and the next council meeting, Gateway can get back to, go take a look at what actually happened up there and get back to me, so I can get back to the resident as to, you know, what we're gonna do or what's going on with that.
Okay, I will find out exactly what the digging, I know what's going on with that line. That's a line between North Emily and Johnston in the back and the rear
Between
yards.
the houses, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, garages and all kind of weird things.
The line, the line is in rough shape and needs to be completely replaced. It's been on the radar for years. It's an expensive project. It runs, I believe it runs under garages. I believe it's just it basically needs to be rebuilt, basically pulled away out from under the garages, all the laterals reinstated. It's a couple $100,000 project. It's one of the capital improvement projects that we've had on the radar for years.
Okay.
So I know that as far as the big picture, but I'll find out why, you know, as far as digging and,
Well, but if,
you know.
what she would be looking for is to dig the dirt out that the borough put in, and put the gravel back the way it was. I guess she really isn't concerned about the sewer line, but, you know, you guys have to be concerned about that. But she's concerned about how the borough left her property.
Well, Mayor, I know for a fact that any time a municipality approaches on private property, it has to restore the property back to its original condition. So if there was gravel under at the time that the borough went on and did the excavation, gravel should have been put back. I don't know if it was a temporary fix and never ended up being a permanent fix, but I'll look into it. But anytime you approach on private property, it has to be restored back to its original condition.
Okay.
Now, is 21's towards your house, further towards your house, like towards Morton?
Right, it's, if you're coming from Crafton Boulevard, you'll go about halfway down the street, there's a wide open lot
Okay,
next
I
to
know.
21,
Yeah.
and that's where they did the digging. And it's behind 69 North Emily, and in the lot next to 21 Johnston.
Okay. I'll look back into, if it's been done the last 2 years, we still have a maintenance bond, if a repair was
I don't think there was no repair, they dug a
Oh, it's
hole,
done in-house, okay.
they dug a hole and looked in there and shook their head.
Is that only an open cut, just to move the entire sewer line out of the right, like into a different right of way?
Yeah, basically.
See, you'd have to get new easements, it could be very, I mean, it's an open cut, can't be a line.
Plus, did the
No.
resident
No.
build on top of that sewer line, or how long ago? and-
Most likely, that's probably what happened,
Yeah,
is that,
and maybe they didn't put the gravel back so people don't park on it, because there's a chance of damaging the sewer line even more, so that's something that we'd have to look into.
All right. So I would just ask you to work with the,
Oh,
get
yeah.
the details to the manager, and the manager will make sure that the
I'll make
mayor
sure
finds
that,
out.
um,
and then-
Well,
Phyllis
it was
out
a
there.
nice project, I was just researching with the group to find out what they did and
Okay,
what the repair was supposed to was gonna be.
Okay. Any other questions for the engineer? All right, I'll ask the solicitor to give his report.
We have two properties, 25 Sycamore and another one at 78 Fountain Street, that are classified as hazardous structures. So we're in the process of moving forward to have those approved for demolition. And in order to do so, we need to get approval from CDBG to get SHAR-COG funding for that. So the first step is to file complaints in equity to have it approved for demolition. Those complaints have been drafted and filed, and they have to be served on the homeowners. One of them has been served on the 78 Fountain, and after 20 days go by, if we don't get a response, we take a default judgment and just start moving forward. The time has started and is running on those. I think we have about 15 days left. On 25 Sycamore, I got a call today from the nephew of the owner who wants to maintain some control over the process and want to incur the cost of having the borough do the demo and then leaning the property. So they want to do it themselves. And I didn't have an answer for them, so that is, I guess, up to council as to whether or not.
Yeah.
My suggestion was, and I was just thinking out loud, was to potentially have a consent judgment where they would agree that if, let's say the demo hasn't occurred by January 1st, we would have a consent judgment entered. We would just walk into court, the judge would sign off on it, and we wouldn't have to incur any additional costs. It would just be a consent to a judgment that we could then move forward with our own demo. But if we're going to do that, then we have to wait for them to take affirmative action. See
yeah,
where
we
that
wouldn't be
goes.
able to apply for 2016 CDBG funding
Right.
then in that case, because we wouldn't have the necessary legal clearances. So it would have to be pushed back until 2017, if he doesn't remove it by January or whatever date you want to give.
The application for SHAR-COG funds is due November 10th, I think,
believe,
2015. So we have to get that in. That's why we move forward with the complaints, and we're trying to sort of expedite the whole process. This throws a wrench in that. If they file an answer to the complaint, if they file any kind of objection to our complaint, we're never going to make that November 10th deadline. So they could slow it up if they choose to. So we may as well just, maybe we want to work with them. It's up to council.
I mean, I don't see a problem with allowing them to do the demo so long as it adheres to a deadline that seem mutually agreeable.
Okay.
And, yeah, I like what you're, I mean, I understand if whatever deadline we agree to is probably gonna put us past the deadline for
Right, no matter what.
getting more funding for it, which ultimately slows down us working through all the list of dilapidated property. But in this case, if, you know, they've asked, you know, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't work with them, and, you know.
We would save that cost then if they're willing to do it themselves, because I think the goal that they want to do is to save the cost, tear it down themselves, and then maybe sell the property.
Yeah,
That way
without
they-
having to have the lien on it.
Yeah, that way they salvage some of the value of the property.
Right, so I would just, I mean, if everyone else is in agreement, let's just work to figure out what you think is an acceptable timeline, work with the manager, communicate to them, and I would just say if that timeline passes, then we want to forthwith, right, go through with our original plan, right?
Right.
So, whatever date you guys think is appropriate.
Okay, you can work with anyone.
Yeah.
Discuss.
Anyone
Do
else?
a motion by that for that, or are we cool just doing it
I
like
think we
that?
just proceed with it.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else on that topic? No? Okay, Moving forward, just an announcement on the recreation. We do have a vacancy on the rec board, so anyone interested, please submit a letter of interest to the borough manager's office, and we'll consider it. Is there a deadline? I think the deadline's already passed, I believe. I think it's kind of like a running deadline now, we're just looking to fill the vacancy. Okay, there was a Kraft and Ingram public meeting, we had our first meeting on the comprehensive plan. Before we get into this, I'm gonna ask Ann to speak to how that meeting went.
It went pretty well. We had everyone attend, and Dave was there as well. We went over what we were looking for in the comprehensive plan, some of the highlights, some of the lowlights of Crafton and Ingram. So the next step is a public meeting, and Crafton is going to hold our public meeting on Monday, October 26th at 6 o'clock, and Ingram is going to have theirs on November 9th at 6 o'clock, and ours is prior to our council meeting. So we're looking to fill this room with 50 people to tell us what you're looking for. And there's going to be some posters that are going to be around. It's going to be on the website. And really what we're looking for is, what are you looking for in Crafton Ingram in the next 10 years? Whether it's repave Steuben, which we're working on with PennDOT, or you want to see a new playground or a soccer field, whatever. I mean, so that's what we're looking. So, tell your friends, your neighbors, and we're encouraging everyone to attend and come and listen to what everybody, it's really great feedback. And Dave, I'm sure will agree that it's just really nice to hear what other people say. Like, you may think that, something is important, like a new park is important or a new playground, but somebody else is like, no, that's not important to me, but this is important to me, or this is such a benefit that we are so close to Robinson. So it was a really great meeting, and we were a little bit longer, but it just really went over some highlights and lowlights of both communities. So now we want to hear from the residents. I mean, they were all residents of Crafton Ingram, but now we want to hear from the majority of the residents, and what you're looking at for Crafton in the next 10 years.
Just to give some folks some context on that. So you're encouraged to do a comprehensive plan every 10 years. Crafton hadn't done one since the early 90s. Ingram hadn't done one since the 70s. So 12 or 18 months ago, we started the process of trying to solicit governmental monies, and the lion's share of it was funded. Crafton and Ingram is splitting the cost on the rest of it. We've gone through the process of selecting a consultant. It was Paschik Associates, and what she was describing, what I mentioned, was the first kickoff meeting was had, and now we're moving into the next steps of that. It's basically a year-long process, give or take. So it's going to be something that goes a while, and it's just starting off at the beginning. So anyone is encouraged to participate as they welcome. Okay, nothing else on that? All right, so last announcement, before we get into the comments. We do have an opening on Public Works, the Public Works staff, and then applications are being accepted, and they're being accepted through Thursday, October 22nd, 2015. Oh, sorry, I missed one. Public safety. Okay, oh yeah, the Crafton Fire Department is hosting a low-cost vaccine clinic for dogs and cats through the Western PA Humane Society. That's going to be on Sunday, October 4th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And this motion. So there was one motion that came up since we put out the public agenda. Since it wasn't on the public agenda, any citizens that want to comment on the motion can, after the motion's been seconded. I'll entertain a motion to authorize the deposit of $98,719 into the police pension plan and $96,431 into the non-uniform pension plan in accordance with the approved 2015 MMO, including the $101,941.70 received in state aid.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. I'll ask for any discussion from council. No discussion from council. Any public comment on the motion? No public comment on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so that covers that, and then we'll get right into the citizens' comments. Looks like we have two topics, basically, on the citizens' comments. You're first, right? Mr. Richmond?
It's close. John Nefershnowski.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Please state your name and your address, and, 3 minutes, please keep your comments to.
It's John Nefershnowski. I own Moods Image Photography at 92 Noble Avenue here in Crafton. For the past 40 years, I've had my business here, and you all know about the tomb of Michael Calabrese next to me. Mayor, I'm going to put everything, all my comments to you. When you drive down Noble Avenue, are you just like right-faced? You don't see anything on the left? Don't you see the dilapidation that's been occurring there, even before Calabrese died? For the last 10 years, serious, it's not even a laughing matter.
No.
I've been here for 3 years since the roof came down, all right? Nothing's been done in there. Now they have debris in the middle of the area in the alleyway. If I do have a serious situation that you can't get access to emergency vehicle in between my building, I have a tenant that lives upstairs, all right? You couldn't do anything about that. Now we have a wall that's leaning towards my building, and I went to Joyce's office to find out about what's going on. He has more continuances than Richard Baumhammer. And the only difference between Baumhammer and him, he's dead and he's still getting a lot of respect. I want to know what you're doing to give Crafton a better image. He just told me, the solicitor over there, that they have dilapidated buildings that they're going to put down. I also find out that now it's going to be, has to defer to an estate before it's demolished. Last time I was here, everybody was gung-ho on demolishing the building. I went to the hearing at Joyce's office, all right? And this is before he died, and he got another continuance. How long does this go on before you take it? You're supposed to be the mayor of Crafton. When you come down there, and the next thing is 98 Noble, where I used to be, okay, the Pakistani pizza pusher, and he's not even there anymore. Sooner or later, his building's going to decay. If you look to the back end, it's already starting to decay. Now, I have my building, it's a beautiful building, it's been that way ever since I moved into Crafton. I have 8 properties in Crafton that I can hang my hat in any one of those properties and consider it home. My grass is cut, the buildings are in beautiful shape. I want to know why you go down Noble Avenue and you turn a left eye this way.
Can I answer that?
In 1.5 more minutes.
Okay.
So, the situation being, we're going to be doing I have my attorney now working on a civil lawsuit against the Calabrese family. That's going to be entered on Thursday, right after the meeting with the Calabreses. I think that's at, I'm not sorry, I don't have my calendar, I think it's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I want to know if you're going to be there also to support Crafton. I think this is your town. This is what they voted you in. And if you go, if an outsider comes by that building, and I have clientele that come in from all over the state, they come in there and says, what happened to that building? What happened to that building? It looks like Homestead now, Lincoln Leamington. I mean, if you have people, let's go back 5 years. It's the 3rd year anniversary now since the big demise of the roof came down. It would look that way except for the windows that weren't blown out, all right? I want to know why it's not even a safety condition that you're worried about this hitting my building, or after it hits my building, what are you going to be responsible for? I've been here, I've been put on record that I've been telling you about this, telling the council about this for the past 3 years. Okay. But you can answer now, it's your turn.
I have no authority over that. 0. Council, building inspector, the building code manager, the other guy. I don't control any of that. As the mayor of Crafton, I am public safety with the police department. Pick up the borough code, take a look at it. I cannot make any decisions about demolition. Trust me, Mr. Richnowski, if I had the authority, the bulldozer would have gone to a lot of places in this community, but you have a magistrate that continues. You have one person, and I'm not just saying this civil action. I'm talking about actions that are brought by the building inspector, and he has legitimate pictures and everything of violations, and the magistrate does nothing, continues the case. It's not on me. I agree with you, I was there when the roof came down, but I, as the mayor of Grafton, don't have the authority to do this. This is not the same as the city of Pittsburgh, or they operate under a different code. We operate under the borough code. The authority to do things falls in this body of council members. Okay? I have a voice but not a vote on any issue on this council.
Do you remember when he had the rusted Jeep and the Cadillacs in between
Absolutely.
the alley?
And
I
you
had
know
to
what?
go downtown to sue him.
You know why? They were filed by the officers, okay? And there was no cooperation in the community with the magistrate's office, okay? I don't control what happens down there. My officers are instructed, okay? Junk cars, high weeds, anything else, and then Mr. Morgan also works on us. They issue warnings, listings, and then if the property's not taken care of, citations are issued. They take a citation to the magistrate, they go in, the person gives the magistrate a song and dance about doing this or doing that. There's a continuance. It's out of our hands at that point. I mean, this whole building over here has been out of the borough's hands since it was condemned. You remember it was condemned 3 years ago after the roof fell in. What happened? The property owners went and filed a motion of some kind, and they got a continuation because they were gonna fix it up, correct?
That's correct, I was there.
Right, so let's turn it back to like where we stand presently, right? Because you just want this resolved, right? I understand the history.
I
that exists.
went down to public records, there's $185,000 in liens against Michael Calabrese and Michael Calabrese Printing, okay? And if you look it up on the internet under Jordan Tax, you're gonna see it's just already the whole way down. I don't know how he even survived when he was alive. Well, that's kind of an oxymoron here, but the situation with him being dead, I was talking to the solicitor, and I think what he said is probably true and correct. Now it's gonna go into an estate. Okay, now you're gonna have done fighting the estate, is
Well,
that correct?
but hold that thought. So, not quite yet, right? Because we declared it uninhabitable, and we declared it needed to be demolished. There were the continuances made, and then a building permit was issued. And a building permit, they were going to repair it. A building permit has a set time. So something needed to happen during that set time. This, where I'd like to take this, right, is to follow up, where does it stand on the renovations? I understand you think there's no renovations being done, right?
There hasn't been. I have a camera on the back of my building, in the front of my building. I can bring tapes over for the past 3 years. Nothing's been,
Right.
they delivered lumber on the 18th of August last year.
Right, so what I think is, certainly an appropriate next step is to have the building inspector go over, review it, understand what the schedule was that was presented to him to remediate that building, see if it's on schedule, behind schedule, or nothing's happening. right?
Nothing's happened, but he's already been over there. They go over to the fire department and they take pictures before every magistrate hearing. The hearing is October 1st, which is Thursday at 3 p.m. over next door. And the solicitor can speak to it because, as I told this gentleman, that there is not, it's out of the borough's hands. We have submitted all of Danny's been over there, he's taken pictures, he updates them. They did start the work and then they quit. And
Right, so if
you know,
they've started the work and they've quit, right, then I think it goes back to, we would deem it as a property that needs to be demoed.
Absolutely.
And the last time we did this, we said it had to come down within 30 days at the expense of the owner, right? And estate or no estate, that still needs to happen.
I think he was alive at the time, and we have there's two matters proceeding. There's a magistrate level hearing and case, and there's a case filed downtown that we filed when he was still alive. In the magistrate court, it's been continued at least 3 times. Every time Dan Felton goes, the magistrate continues it, every single time. I'm just waiting for him to continue it this time. So I've said, wiping my hands of that one, I'm gonna go back downtown. Now, what happened downtown and in the civil court, we had a complaint filed, and we went to court, and we were gonna have a trial. The case was getting ready to proceed to trial. The judge stated, continued the trial, because Mr. Calabrese died. You can't proceed against somebody who's deceased. You have to have an estate. So if somebody passes away, you can't sue somebody who's passed away. There's no one there to collect or recover against. So what we need to do, he's got counsel. Their family has an attorney, Mike Fives. Feel free to call him. But Mr. Fives has assured me that an estate would be raised by the family. Well, that hasn't happened. That was that, you know, hey, are you gonna raise the estate? Yeah, sure, we're gonna do it. Nothing happens, I call him back. Are you gonna raise the estate? Yeah, we're gonna do it. Nothing happens. I sent a letter to the judge. Judge, they told me they were gonna raise an estate, they haven't done it. The next thing we can do is we, Crafton, can raise an estate for them, for purposes of litigation only. It's a procedure, it costs money, it takes time, we have to do that. It's the only thing we can do. That's the next step, is to raise an estate, force the estate so that we can then proceed against him. That's my suggestion, that's what I think we should do. Once we get an estate created, we can go in and we can get a judgment against them.
Is there nothing we can do as a matter of public safety and demo the
Just keep
building
citing.
and lean it against the estate, that when it gets raised?
You have to get a judgment permitting the demo to go forward first.
And that judgment has to come against the estate then?
Yeah.
All right, well,
So that's
there you
what we're
have
gonna
it, right? So,
So it's in my hands, and, you know, we discussed it earlier. We're moving forward.
It's just a bad eyesore for Crafton. I mean, just look at that place. I mean, it's crazy. 3 minutes are up.
all right, I think we're in agreement on what needs to happen. So,
Thank you.
please keep them informed as it plays out. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Vote, John.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Philip
Thanks,
and Jen Tompkins. I don't know if you guys are residents or not residents.
Susan,
They're here to
can you come with us,
They're
Susan?
representing you.
And you've got the paper there, right?
Let me know before my 3 minutes start, I don't have a law degree,
We'll just start.
I rent chickens. So I'm not out to like shred anyone or anything, but we're here with Susan, because she received a violation notice, based on 131-25. And I did talk to David Stone today, and he told me that he could not be here.
Who's David Stone?
David Morgan, why did I say
David
David
Morgan.
Stone?
Okay.
David Stone's a whole other guy who lives in Missouri. See? Steel trap.
Chicken.
Yeah, he rents chickens. Dave Morgan, we'll call him for the sake of argument. 131-25, health hazards and nuisances prohibited as follow. Any other condition which, in the opinion of the code official / building inspector, shall be deemed to be a health hazard, potential health hazard, or nuisance. When I talked to Dave, I said, hey, you've been to Susan's house. Do you think there's a potential hazard, or is there a health hazard there, or is there a nuisance? He said no. Okay, so he said that he believes that 131-25 is not valid on her violation. So then we talked about 131-6, Part G, the keeping or harboring of any dog or any other animal or fowl, which is in this case, which by frequent howling or barking or other noise or odor shall annoy or disturb the neighborhood or a number of persons, or the keeping of a vicious dog not adequately leashed or secured. So we know the dog part's not valid. So he said, that's true, I had one complaint. I said, okay, but in your ordinance, it says that it has to disturb the whole neighborhood or a number of persons. So since there was only one complaint, and he agreed, that 131-6G is also not valid.
So what we're asking here is for what's this document called, the summons or the
Citation,
Ordinance violation.
ordinance violation to be retracted by the borough. I do have some pictures if anybody wants to see pictures of Susan's property. They're at 35
35
Bradford Avenue.
Yeah,
I also have a video of the chickens, it's 2 minutes long. It shows you how noisy they are, which they're not, the traffic is
yeah, the
definitely.
FedEx truck went by, we were having a conversation, I had to wait till the guy went by, so we could have a conversation in front of
All
the
we're
building.
asking is for you guys to review the document here and then go ahead and reverse the ordinance violation, since there were no violations of the ordinance code here in Crafton.
This is section 225.
Yes, I mean, I think that this probably is just not cited correctly.
Right.
So are you referring to the fact that a fowl or a chicken is defined as a non-domestic pet?
In our borough code, it is
Yeah.
different,
So
not
where, if
defined.
you could show me or tell me where it says that a non-domestic pet is not permitted?
In R1 single residential district only, the following uses are authorized, and one of them is keeping of domestic pets. And domestic pet is defined as animals, reptiles, customary found in a dwelling kept for company pleasure, including not limited to dogs, cats, provided there's not sufficient number, constitute a kennel, hamsters, parakeets,
Sure, sure.
blah, blah,
So
blah.
I read that, but so it says that domestic pets are allowed, but it doesn't say, to my knowledge, that non-domestic pets are prohibited.
But not including any exotic animals such as lions, tigers, bears, ocelots, other feral cats, or poisonous snakes, alligators, monkeys, blah, 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 normally found in a zoo, nor any horses, pigs, or other animal, fowl, or livestock customarily found on a farm.
Right, so that's just the definition, if I recall. You're just defining what a non-domestic pet is.
Right,
Right,
and
but-
the definition of authorized use is keeping of a domestic pet.
Right, but it doesn't say you can't keep a non-domestic pet.
These are what the authorized uses are, is only keeping of domestic. It doesn't say, yeah, it just says
Right, it
you're only
doesn't say
allowed
you
to.
can't.
Right.
But that's just an understanding, that's how the borough code is written, it's just a keeping
So
of
it's,
domestic
oh, I
pets.
see, so it's an understanding that she's
So,
not been in violation.
So I think you just quoted the wrong section, but, you know, there are, the city of Pittsburgh, Edgewood, I provided council with some various ordinances that would allow for chickens or what have you too. So I'm not, you know,
if you don't mind, I mean, you can look through this, you can swipe left and right, that's the property itself. Susan's kept it very clean. With the ordinances that were cited, there is no odor. I invite you to go over there and take a look if you'd like. The chickens are very quiet. There is no rooster, only roosters crow. So that's, all we're asking today is that this be retracted so that Susan can.
Right, so I mean, so I think what we've concluded here, right, is the violation as it's been written up is probably erroneous in terms of what it's quoted. But what we have found is that according to our borough code, it's not allowed. Now, we can amend the borough code because I don't believe that this is causing a nuisance. Now, we have other folks that want to speak to it, but this body at large has to make a decision on whether to allow it or not allow it, because presently on the books, it's not allowed.
So the way I was understanding the exact wording there for a non-domestic pet, I don't exactly see where it says you cannot have a non-domestic pet.
Well, if I could, if the solicitor can stay, right, he can talk to you about that. We've been communicated to that it is, according to our current code, it's in violation. So he can explain to you why it's in violation. It's up to us to take action as to whether or not we want to change this or leave it as is, right? Before we decide anything like that, and we wouldn't decide it now, right? We're just being notified of it.
Sure.
This all came up today, right? And we've got 4 or 5 other people that want to speak on the matter,
sure.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there will be probably a lot more communication on the matter, right, you know, over the next several weeks. But the only thing we've been notified of today is that according to the borough code, it's in violation. This seems certainly to have been written wrong, because what it's citing, I don't believe applies to the situation, right? But non-domestic animals, the way it's been written, it feels like it's still in violation. So, we'll talk to Mr. Morgan, right? We'll either have this rescinded or the right one reapplied. But I can assure you that, you know, the the failure to comply here is pretty harsh, right? And it's
Yeah.
what's the failure to comply for,
to be
this is the
arrested
same
for
kind of.
it. Yeah, right.
This is the same,
$10,000 impossible imprisonment.
Yeah, this is the
We'll
same.
send flowers.
This is the same language that will go out if you don't cut your street tree as well, right? We'll jail you eventually, right, for not cutting your street tree. But, so I would just, take that a bit with a grain of salt, right? But understand that according to our current code, it's in violation, and let's see what other folks have to say, and no action is gonna be taken imminently, we'll,
Sir, is it possible to get some sort of motion that would allow any residents to continue to have chickens until the council has decided whether or not to allow chickens in the borough?
I don't think there's not you can't put something, right?
You can't make a motion to not enforce your code.
Yeah, can't do that,
Okay.
yeah.
So
So,
what are we
You just
doing
update.
with this violation? Because we gave them,
10 days.
how many?
As of
10 days.
Thursday.
Well, I think we gotta go back to Dave and make sure that what he cited here is the proper site,
Okay,
right?
so, but if we, let's say we give them the right section, are we still gonna give them 10 days to get rid of the chicken? Or, that's what I'm saying, is we need to see, are we just gonna table it for now and not give them a violation for now, till we can determine what we wanna do?
Yes,
Okay, we appreciate that.
but let's hear what everyone else has to
Sure.
say, right? I mean, also, right, I mean, the citation can be issued, right? And whether or not we act on the 10 days is really up to us as well, right? So let's hear what everyone else has to say.
Okay.
But I do want you to understand that, on the books, right, this is not proper, and the solicitor can explain why and reread it for you guys. But you clearly have been pointed in the wrong direction with that citation, because it's not a noise issue, right?
Right, no, they're very
Yeah.
quiet, they're not roosters, she has
No.
2 hens that produce eggs daily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not
Okay.
very clean. I'm
Yeah.
way clean.
And David said the same, right? That he inspected the
Yes.
place, it's clean and it's not noisy, but it is still in violation. So that needs to be addressed one way or
Well, it could be
another.
one of the things that we'd like to see happen in Crafton in the next 10 years, maybe, this could be one of those issues that we want to see the community where people,
Absolutely.
could do things like this, like the community garden is a big thing, and, to go along with all the other boroughs that are doing things such as this. I mean, yes, you need to put limitations on things like this too, because you don't want, everybody that's gonna have chickens or whatever not taking care of them, because there will be people out there that might, I don't know, I'm so nervous, this is so intimidating for me, but I don't wanna ruin anybody's life over 2 chickens, I really don't. I wanna live in a neighborhood that's peaceful, I love where I lived there since '96, I've taken a lot of pride and a lot of work in my home, and I wanna live there in peace, and I want everybody around me to live in peace too, so that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah.
Hers are not the only chickens in town.
Yeah, we've learned that, over the last couple of days.
I'm not gonna tell you where they are, but.
Don't ruffle any feathers.
You're not the only chicken in town.
They don't cause a problem.
You guys have been doing this for a while.
All right, so in the interest of time, let me move to the next person, right? Susan Shane, on Bradford.
That was her.
Oh, that was, I'm sorry, Susan,
Yeah,
that's Susan, I'm sorry, yeah, that is Susan. Patrick Walsh and Diane Walsh on Creighton.
We yield our time.
What?
We yield our time.
Oh.
We came to support Susan.
Oh, I see, okay.
We like the chickens.
I don't concern domestic animals, I consider pets. They're more, she calls them, they come to her, they follow her, and they don't cause any harm. And I say keep them, change the ruling, because if people have chickens, I've seen them abused in my life, and these are not abused. So,
All right, thank you.
keep the chickens.
All right, Ralph Mills,
I'm just also
name and address, please, before
oh,
you start.
yeah, Ralph Mills, 67 Woodlawn. I'm just here to support Susan also.
Do you also have chickens?
Don't answer that question.
I was under the assumption that if there wasn't anything specifically on the books and everything that I read online, because I did look into it at first, I didn't catch on to what you all caught on to, but I was under the assumption that if there wasn't something specifically on the books, that it reverted back to the city, the closest city, which is Pittsburgh.
It goes, reverts back to the state code, which the state code said the boroughs could allow them or not allow them, that's up, that's
Yeah,
their
the
decision.
state, as you can explain it better, right? You want to say what the state code says?
Yeah, the borough code, which is the statewide law for all boroughs, permits boroughs to, they have specific powers. And one of those powers is to enact ordinances prohibiting or regulating the keeping or running at large of livestock and fowls. So this code gives Crafton the authority to either regulate the keeping of chickens or to prohibit it altogether. And I will say that I'm not going to interpret that language. That's not my role. My role is to advocate for Crafton or to interpret language for Crafton. Judges interpret law. So if you have a different interpretation and think that the law applies in a different way, you can appeal the zoning ordinance. You can take it and argue to a judge. Judge, we think you should apply it this way. And Crafton can come in and say, we think it applies this way. And then a judge will decide which way it should be applied. So I can't arbitrate here and tell you what, if you're right or you.
Right, but I mean, it's our understanding that our read of this is that it's illegal. Now, we didn't write this, right? We're just enforcing the code that exists.
So what is that, is a fowl, I mean, is that just considered chickens and ducks and geese, or?
Fowls are
turkeys?
defined under the borough code.
Is it, I mean, what if you have African parrot or something like that?
Yeah.
No lions or
I
tigers,
don't-
that's for sure. No lions or tigers.
No.
That's right,
Yeah.
no lions or
Well,
tigers.
I can't say that I did go on the Pittsburgh tour, the chickens in the hood, and people love their chickens. And it kind of piggybacks on the whole community farm thing that you're doing now, as far as beekeeping, chickens, people like fresh eggs, people like fresh vegetables. And tell you the truth, some of the coops that I've seen, I mean, they're nicer than my first apartment. They really are.
All
But
right.
thank you.
Thank you for your time. And Dan Sindrick, please. You know the routine, Dan.
I don't remember it. Dan Sindrick, 45 Creighton Avenue. We live next to Sue Shane, and we can sit on our front porch and we can see her chickens. And they don't make any noise. She keeps them very clean. She follows probably the rules that other communities have already set up for this. I think that Ms. Scott had mentioned that there are other communities such as Edgewood, Forest Hills, Pleasant Hills, and the city of Pittsburgh that also allows chickens. Forest Hills, for example, I think is the only community in Allegheny County that has been a Tree City USA longer than Crafton has. I believe that's correct. They even allow bees there. Now, I'm not saying we should allow bees in Crafton, but I think it's council's chance to be proactive on this issue. You can see that it's growing all over the country, really, not just in our area. I think it would be proactive of council not to say yes or no, we do want or we don't want chickens. It's how we want them. You can now take what other communities have done, the ordinances that other people have written, which are 1 or 2 pages long, and cut and paste for that matter. Or we can have, obviously you can have meetings to determine what the community wants, how the community wants to have chickens in the area. Do you want to limit it to 2? Do you want to limit it to, what does the city have? The city has 5, I think, for every 2,000 square feet. Well, they have 12,000 square feet of property, so they could have a lot more chickens if they lived in the city than they do now, which is only 2. But I think you have an opportunity here to rewrite the ordinance, which is, I think, Crafton's ordinance. Right?
Mhm.
It's not the
It is,
borough code.
right.
So you have the chance to rewrite it to determine what you want it to be, how you want people to raise them. You want to have 2 limited, you want to have 6, you want to have unlimited. Obviously, I think you want to be able to control it, and now's the opportunity to do it. And I don't think you should punish the people that have it now, who really aren't really causing any problem with it. That's all I have, thanks.
All right, thank you. I think everyone has a chance to speak, right? So, where's the? did you take my-
Oh, I did.
There's nothing else, right?
No, there's nothing else.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion, I mean, meeting adjourned.
at least we get it.
I just wanted someone.
Because I was looking at the wrong company.